Welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. On our last episode, we made a blueberry barbecue sauce. And I mentioned that it was going to be used for a pork loin. And this is the pork loin. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue from that point. And we're going to take our blueberry barbecue sauce. And we're going to go ahead and put it on our pork loin. So the first thing we want to do is what I did was I went ahead and I marinated this for a half an hour. And what I did is I took and I put probably a quarter cup of salt in probably a half gallon of water and probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of sugar in there as well, and probably a teaspoon of liquid smoke. And for this one I actually used applewood for the liquid smoke. Usually I use hickory, but for pork I wanted to use applewood. So I left it in there for about a half an hour, and here we are. And the difference from this and a regular pork loin, you see here, is that we actually still have the ribs attached to it. And so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to make these, I want to go ahead and I want to bake this, and then we'll go ahead and section them and just make chops out of them. So, 1 minute. Just want to wash my hand here. Alright, the first thing we want to do is, even though we marinated it with salt, we want to put a little more salt on it. A little pepper. And now let's go ahead and let's turn it over. And let's go ahead and do the same for the other side. Now, what I want to do here is I've got a thermometer. It's one of the little ThermoPros. And I really love this because it just has a little, it's just a little thermometer that when I put the probe in here, I put it probably to right about here, and right about in the middle, where it's going to pick up the best temperature reading. And right now it's about 55 degrees. So what I want to do is I want to take and I want to put this in the oven just like this, because what I've got it at 350. I'm going to bake it for a little bit until it probably gets up to about, probably about 150 or something like that. You know, internal temperature. What we want to do is we want to get this up to about 160, 155, 160 to make sure that our, you know, any trichinae that are in there, and I haven't heard of a trichinae worm, you know, being found in decades. But, you know, if I don't, you know, I'll be the one that finds one. So I'm going to go ahead right now and I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'm just going to set it and watch the timer until we get up to about 150, something like that degrees. Maybe even less than that, because what we're going to do then is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our barbecue sauce on it, and we're going to start basting. So, let me go ahead and put it in the oven. Okay, that's all there is to it. We've already gotten quite a bit of the brine in there. That salt has gotten into the into the muscle in there, and it's going to work. You're not going to taste the salt, but it's going to work to keep the moisture in. And then when we let it rest, we'll still have a very, very moist chop. So, and we also went ahead and we put our smoke in there. Now, usually when I make one of these pork loins, I do it out in the smoker. But this is January. And, you know, in January, although I have been known to grill and use a smoker and whatever and whatnot, my neighbors think I'm crazy enough as it is, so I think I'll just use the oven on this one. So, anyway, as soon as it gets up to the temperature, I'll be right back and we'll go from there. See you real soon. Okay, the temperature in the pork loin is about 115 degrees right now, and that's fine. Now, it's not done to where we want it to be, but what I do want to do is I want to start basting it with some of our barbecue sauce. So what I did was I went ahead and I took it out of the oven, I took it out of the package, and so let's go ahead and let's now put a little of our sauce on it. Put it on the ends, put it on the front. Don't really need to put it on the back because that's the rib bones. So, all right, now that we have our barbecue sauce on it, now, once again at 350, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the loin back in the oven again. And this time I'm going to let it get up to about 125. And then what we'll do is we'll baste it again. Okay, we'll see you back as soon as it hits 125. Don't go far. I know you want to come back. You know I'm going to be here. So I'll see you then. Bye. Okay, the pork roast inside is up to about 145 degrees. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to baste it just one more time. There. And I want to put it in until it comes up to about 150, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull it out and it'll rest, and it'll probably go up to about 155, something like that. So let me go ahead and put it back in the oven then, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, the pork loin's just out of the oven, and it got up to 155 degrees. And what I'm doing now is I pulled it out, and I'm going to let it rest here for a few minutes, probably about 10 minutes. And what it's going to do is that internal heat is going to keep rising up to about 160 degrees, which is right where we want it. And it will also, let all the moisture, go back into the fibers of the muscle. And so you never want to cut a piece of meat right after it's been cooked. You always want to let it rest. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit more of the sauce on here now. It's up to 157, so we're about ready to go. Now, let's go ahead and let it rest for about 15 minutes. And then let's go ahead, let's cut it, let's taste it, and let's plate. So, I'll be right back. Don't go far. Okay, the roast is done. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these away from the bone. Now, what is tempting to do is just go ahead and cut down through the bones like that, like you do a lamb roast. But the only thing is, with pork, the bones tend to go off at an angle, all right? And so it makes it much harder to cut. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the loin right along the bones. All right, now, I don't know how well you can see this, but you can see the bone takes off down at an angle and makes cutting that, literally impossible without a bandsaw. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to leave it like this. Now that we've gone ahead and let the meat rest and we've gone ahead and sliced it up, now it's time to plate. So let's go ahead and put a couple of pieces of our pork loin. A little of our blueberry barbecue sauce. And I made a little bit of julienne potatoes to go ahead on the side. So, right now the only thing there is to do is let's go ahead and let's put a little garnish on here. And for this, I'm just going to use a little Italian flat parsley. And here we go. Very good. Now, the last thing we need to do, which I'm going to do right now. Now you know this is tender when I can go ahead and just cut it with a fork. It's extremely tender, very, very juicy. You can taste the blueberry in there. You can taste, the chili. There's a little bit of heat in there, but it's not enough to offend anybody. And to be real honest, to me, it's absolutely delicious. So, please feel free to try this. Go ahead, go out. You don't have to get a pork loin that has the bones in it. I got that simply because it was a lot cheaper. But you can go ahead and just go out and get a regular pork loin and do this, and it's going to come out really good. Try it. I think you'll agree when you get done making the barbecue sauce and the pork loin, I think you're going to be really, really happy. So give it a try and let me know how you do. Please leave me a comment or send me an email at chefrdmiller@att.net and give me a thumbs up, and for heaven's sakes, subscribe. You don't want to miss any of these. So anyway, in the meantime, take care, God bless. Thank you once again. for for taking and viewing my videos. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Remember, cooking should always, always, always be fun. And that's what it is to me. We'll see you next episode. Bye for now.